children's message, and I got a look from some people. So this week, we're going big, and hopefully the PowerPoint's going to work. All right? I know we were having tech issues. Is it good? All right, can we throw the first slide up there? So today's children's message is quantum physics for kids, as well as all the adults in here who never passed physics. All right? All right, so Landon, if you'd like to come out and be my helper today, because we're going to do a scientific experiment. All right, I told you we were going to go big today. All right, now, next slide, please. In today's gospel, we're going to talk about the transfiguration, so you can see your pretty face. All right. The transfiguration, Jesus goes up on the top of the mountain and is illuminated in this divine light. So what we're going to look at today is how does light work? That's what we're going to study, and that's one of the fields that quantum physics studies is how does light work. Okay, so next slide. So as scientists, we're going to do an experiment here. Landon, you can actually do this experiment at home. What you need is a dark room, okay, and you need a flashlight. So here's a flashlight. Okay, you can hold this. Right, and you need a dark room with no light in it. Okay, no windows, no lights on. And then what you need to do is you need to make a vertical slit in the wall, a big hole in the wall. Now, I would advise you to get your parents' permission first before making the hole in the wall. Okay? Or you can be like myself and my brothers, where we drilled a hole in the wall without parental permission. We kicked a hole in the wall without parental permission, and we one time discharged a firearm into the wall without parental permission. Okay? But she's nodding her head, yes. I don't know if she knew about the gun. Okay? Don't do that at home. Don't, Landon? No, do not do that. Okay? All right. But anyway, let's say you have a wall here, and we just carved a vertical slit in it. Okay, now take your flashlight. I don't want you to blind anyone. We're not going to blind Sylvia. No. All right, turn your flashlight on, hit the button. Okay, and imagine you're shining it through this vertical slit in the wall. Okay, what do you expect to see in the darkened room? What do you think you'll see? A light, right. What would it look like? A vertical light. So show the next slide, Tim. Yeah, that's what you're going to see. Does that make sense to everybody? Is anybody clueless at this point? Okay, we got to make sure we're all on the same page for this experiment. Are you good? Tim's like, I don't understand. Okay, so that's what you're going to see, right? So if you did this at home, with parental permission, of course, okay, you would see that on the opposite wall. Okay, so next slide. Okay, let's make this experiment a little harder. So now you're gonna make two vertical slits in the wall. Okay, two. And you're going to shine your light through two vertical slits. What do you think you would see on the opposite wall? Two vertical lines. Right. How many? I'm going to hold up the number. 2. Are we all in agreement with 2? Okay, shut the light off. Okay, Tim, go ahead and show us what we're going to see. We would expect something like this. Are we in agreement? Okay, next slide. Next slide. That's what you're going to see. You will see multiple bars of light. Why? Why? Does that make any sense, right? You would expect to see 2, okay, but why do you see all those bars? If you did this at home, that's what you would see on the opposite wall. All right, next slide. All right, let's find out. All right, so now what we're going to, next, yep, that's good. All right, so what you're going to do next is we're going to, as scientists, right, you're an amateur scientist, you're going to measure the light. You want to figure out why it's doing that, right? You expected to get 2 bars of light, but you're getting multiple bars of light. So we got to figure this out. So what you're going to go do is you're going to go and purchase a light detection machine, okay? They're on sale right now at MedX Supply, actually, for about $5.3 million. Okay, again, ask the parents for this, okay? And this will allow you to essentially measure the light, and it will tell you where the photons in the light are and why they're going in multiple bars on the back wall. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's imagine you went and bought this machine for $5.3 million. Again, on sale. All right? And you pull it in, you put it in the room, you're going to measure the light. Okay, so let's run the same experiment, but this time we're measuring it with this very expensive measuring device. Here we go. So what are we going to see? Throw up next slide. You're going to see that. Is anybody a little bit like, what happened? Right now we just got 2 bars of light. What changed? Did anything change in the experiment? It's the same flashlight. the same two vertical bars in the wall. What did we do? Right, we put a machine in there and we observed the light, right? We're measuring the light. That's the only thing we changed in this experiment. And now we got exactly what we originally expected, which is 2 bars of light. So why, right? Next slide, please. All right, that doesn't make sense. It's the same experiment, the same room, the same flashlight. All we did was observe the light, and the light did something completely unexpected. Next slide. Does light have eyes? Does light know when we're watching it? Does it change its behavior based on whether or not we're observing the light? Next slide. This has given rise to something that physicists call the observer effect. And the observer effect can best be understood. Think of your kids, right? If you're watching your kids, do they do what you expect them to do? Most of the time, right? In a perfect world, they would do what, like they stand together, they do what, but when you turn your back, what do the kids do? They do whatever, like Kevin just said, they do whatever they want to do, right? They move around. Light works on the same principle. It is based on the observer effect. Light can actually tell when we are attempting to measure or observe it, and will change its behavior. So when you weren't measuring the light, you got multiple bars of light in the room. But when you put the measuring device in there and attempted to observe it and watch it, the light did what you expected. Okay, next slide. This is the guy who came up with this experiment, Richard Feynman, back in 1965, and he said the double-slit experiment, which is the name of this experiment, is a mystery that absolutely nobody has been able to understand in any way. We have no clue why light does this and why it's based on the observer effect. And think about that, guys, a mystery that no one can completely understand. Does anybody think that sounds like God? Okay, next slide. All right, now we get to the transfiguration. This is an image of the transfiguration, which Jesus' light shone like the light. Guys, for millions of years, really before even Christianity, the ancients have worshipped the sun. Divine power has often been characterized as sunlight. Right? Jesus is considered the way, the truth, and the light. Okay, light has always been associated with divine power. And I want you to think about this experiment and how light cannot be, it's not like a law of gravity, right? You can't predict it. Like the law of gravity says what goes up must come down, but light doesn't work that way. We can't predict it. We cannot understand it. It's a mystery. It bases its behavior on whether or not we are watching it or not watching it. And just, there's a little excerpt from the Gospels, and his face shone like the sun, and his clothes became bright as light. And right, the disciples looked away, and he was God. And then when they looked up and saw him and were looking at him, what? They saw no one except Jesus. You guys see some of the parallels. Is there something divine about light? Quantum physics would say yes. In fact, quantum physics is we often think of science and faith as being at odds with each other. Quantum physics is one of the areas where they're actually showing that we can actually prove the existence of spirituality, prove the existence of God. Because it's all about mysteries and things that don't work on predictable patterns, light being one of them. And I think about yesterday when I stepped outside and the light is melting all this snow, right? And I think about how even on the coldest days, right, when it's sub-zero temperature, if the light hits the ice just right, it still melts. I think about all the things that light influences in our life, whether, plants blooming, animals' hibernation cycles, everything that it influences in our life, right? The power of light. And even how it elevates your mood. When you stepped out yesterday, Tim said it, right? Everybody was really excited because it felt warm. You felt the light on your face. Do we think there's something divine about light? Probably, all right? And this experiment shows that it's something in this world that we can't predict. And that experiment just showed you, right? It's something that we can't actually understand. Its behavior changes on whether we observe it or we don't watch it, all right? Something to think about this week. Thanks, Landon.